My third point pertains to the Armenian genocide. In fact, the Armenian genocide is an unforgettable and undeniable fact of history, deeply rooted in the annals of modern history and in the common consciousness of the Armenian people. Therefore, any attempt to erase it from history and from our common memory is doomed to failure. In fact, in 1915, 1.5 million Armenians were victims of a genocide carefully planned and systematically executed by the Ottoman Empire of the time. Not only we lost 1.5 million Armenians, but thousands of Armenian monasteries, churches, community centers, humanitarian and social institutions, objects of spiritual and cultural immense value were destroyed, lost, or confiscated.
All right, talking about the Armenian genocide. Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Wednesday morning. Glad you're here. We'll talk about the genocide today, only 5 days away from the anniversary, 102 years. A special author, a guest in the studio again today, a return guest. We'll talk to her. Take your phone calls at 436-MeTV option 11. Back in a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Welcome back to the show here on Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. Glad you're here on a Wednesday morning. A couple of quick programming notes for the next couple of days. We've got tomorrow a special guest, a City Without Orphans, and it's an organization, a nonprofit, been in business for the past few years now. They actually try to take these foster kids and place them in permanent homes, and so that's what's happening for tomorrow. And a guest is going to be in here to talk about her organization, and actually she's going to bring someone with her who was in foster care and was placed in a permanent home, so we'll get her story as well. Then on Friday, we'll talk to the executive director of the Marjorie Mason Center. She's a first-time guest here. Glad that she's going to be here. Her name is Nicole, and I've not met her yet before, but talked to her on the phone for quite some time yesterday. Interesting guest, as she will be on Friday. And then on Monday, we're back with On the Air, Off the Presses. For now, you're watching us live on Comcast, channel 375 as usual. It's Comcast Cable TV, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning at 436-MeTV option 11 if you want to call in and join in on the conversation Monday through Friday. Now, if you don't have Comcast cable, it's not a big deal. 43.6 and 13.1 over-the-air broadcast with one of those digital antennas that you can put on your roof or your, I don't know, your facade or your chimney or whatever. Anyway, two more times later today, like it or not. You got 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube on the replay of this program today, and then 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. As mentioned, 5 days away from the 102nd anniversary of the Armenian genocide. You might recall just a couple of years ago they put up the genocide monument at Fresno State. What a beautiful monument that is, all thanks to Joseph Castro, the president. He was really instrumental in getting that project up and running and finished, of course, on time. Anyway, let's roll the videotape. We are going to talk about the genocide just a little bit, as you heard at the top of the program. During a 4-year span starting in 1915, the Turkish government put in motion a plan to kill roughly 1.5 million Armenians during World War I. You know, there were only 2 million living there at the time. Thus, most believe this was a premeditated, systematic campaign to totally wipe out the entire population of the Armenian people. And to this day, Turkey denies that it ever happened. In fact, it's not even recognized by Britain. It's not recognized by the United States. The genocide did happen. There is proof. In fact, in recent times, Pope Francis acknowledged the genocide happened. In fact, in just a couple of days, a brand new movie is going to come out. It's called The Promise, which actually focuses on the genocide.
Be careful. Thank you.
The world is at your feet, Mikhail. Do us proud.
You're going to become a doctor?
Yes, it's my passion.
Christopher Myers.
Chris is a star reporter for the Associated Press. A toast to old friends and new.
Anna is a fine woman, Mikhail.
You make me feel I've come home.
She's very fond of you. It's obvious. It's very dangerous for Armenians right now. I want to get you out of here.
If it's not safe for me, then it's not safe for any of my people.
What is the Associated Press doing here?
Reporting on the war.
There is no war here. No one here is safe. I have to get us out of here before there's no time left.
I was told that you organized an escape route. How can I help? Do you love him?
You trust no one.
Chris?
We will build a future together.
Tell me what it's for.
Okay, live in our studio right now is Armen Bacon. She is a longtime columnist for the Fresno Bee, an author as well. She brought 3 books with her. She's been here before, and we can talk about the genocide and The Promise. The movie is coming out in just a couple of days. She plans to go and see it. What does it mean to be Armenian and, you know, have relatives who suffered through the genocide, maybe even killed during the genocide, and just to even if that didn't happen, just to be part of a group of people in this country. You know, there's what, roughly, I think 6.5 to 8 million Armenians around the world. Less than half of those live in Armenia, but about 50 to 60,000 live right here in the Central Valley. How does it feel for this country not to even recognize a genocide that actually took place? 436-MeTV, option 11. We'll talk about many other things besides that. Don't worry. Back in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Joseph Castro, president of Fresno State. Here on campus and around the Central Valley, we take great pride in Bulldog Red. We also take pride in our diversity and our academic and athletic achievements. On Wednesday, May 10th, it will be my pleasure to join John Mallos on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno for a 1-hour interview to talk about all the great things happening at Fresno State. See you then.
Take a look at this. Let's play.
This is too hip for you. I'll slow down.
Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KBBC Digital Channel 13.7.
Back here on the program, do you plan to see The Promise? It's coming out in just a couple of days. It's a love story, but it revolves around the time of World War I and the Armenian genocide that, yes, actually did happen. There is proof. Anyway, Armen Bacon is here. Good to see you this morning.
John.
Thanks for showing up again. I appreciate it. It's good of you to be here, and it's our pleasure to have you here. Before I get to the caller really quick, you've got a column coming out Sunday, is it, or the following?
It'll be this Sunday, I believe.
And you're going to perhaps write a column about The Promise?
Well, you know,
I know you haven't seen it.
I think we've all been inundated by the trailers.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes the trailers are really hard for me to watch. I look in the crowd scene, and I'm looking for my grandmother.
Yeah.
And because most of the visuals that we have about the genocide are so tragic, and, you know, they're dead bodies and sadness and old black and whites, there's an energy and a curiosity of wanting to make sure this story is told. And sometimes I look away. Just now when we showed the previews, the execution scenes, I can't look at them because they represent my family, my grandfather, my grandmother's brother. So many of her family members were killed, and her mother died of starvation, pneumonia, you know, leaving the country. And so it's going to be hard to watch. But I think the more information and the more we put this in front of the public, I think we acknowledge that this did happen, in fact.
Yeah, it did. There's so many that deny that it did happen. For example, Turkey still denies it. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you for accepting my call. My name is Vic Caribbean, and I'm one of the basically survivors from my grandmother's generation. I always say that they carried their life through the deserts and survived just to plant a seed like who we are to continue. And hopefully that they could seek the justice through their next generation of what happened to them. And my basically comment is towards people that they have no idea what sometimes this generation, the genocide is. And I'm going to just say something that it's everybody's responsibility to know, everybody's responsibility to find out and share the pain and make sure that the justice gets done so nothing like this repeats again. My grandma, as well as somebody else's grandma, would never make up a story in saying they saw a pregnant woman's stomach being torn open because two soldiers bet to see if the baby is a boy or a girl, while both of them are alive. They saw these. There's no reason for someone to lie about these things and then match the stories side by side and make it that it is something made up. There's no such a thing. Even if it was a civil war, government has responsibility to protect its citizen, which was Turkey. They can deny it. They could say, leave it to the historians now, but there's no such thing. Black is black, white is white. You can't say something other than the truth. So the truth has to come up. It has to be justified. So for people that don't know, I just want to say, we have lived this pain through our grandmothers. Not just they suffered, we suffered. So everyone needs to share a responsibility and find out about it and support us. Be with us. We're a minority, but we suffered majorly. 1.5 million people dying is nothing to be ignored. I appreciate this program, and I appreciate everyone that finds out and stays on our side, because justice has to be served. In God's name, I just pray that this justice being served would be soon, later, not later than tomorrow. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the call. I guess the question I have for you, Armen, is how do you convince people that do not believe this even happened? How do you convince them? I mean, he's talking about, You know, everybody, it's their responsibility to find out the facts, find out what happened. But how do you convince those, especially those that are growing up as young kids in Turkey? They're being taught, they're not even allowed to talk about it in their own country, let alone believe it.
Well, you know, as a writer, I think it's so important that we share our stories and that we pass our stories down to our children and grandchildren. And I so appreciated this caller's comments, and thank you for your brave and courageous words. And you're right. Our grandmothers, our grandparents, many of them went to their grave without telling their stories. And I know 2 years ago, during the centennial, the 100th anniversary of the genocide, many of us of this generation researched, tried to dig and find out more information about how our grandparents lived and survived, their resilience, their spirit. And I think in Fresno, in the San Joaquin Valley, where so many immigrated and came to reestablish their lives, we have some of those stories. And it was an opportunity to share them out loud. And that's why, as a writer, I try to talk and write about my grandparents and what I know, and fill in the blanks. And the promise, this movie hopefully is going to help us see a little bit more of what many of us only imagine in our minds.
Yeah, we haven't seen, neither one of us have seen the movie. We understand it's more than just about the genocide. It's a love story that happened during the genocide, but it exposes what happened to other countries around the world, not only here in this country, but it will wake people up to the point that, hey, maybe this really did happen. Don't know if the movie will be shown in Turkey. It'll be interesting to see, even the United Kingdom. I hope it is.
I know it's being released worldwide, but there may be some exceptions.
Yeah, but how do you convince people that don't believe that? There are people that have called this program that don't believe the Jewish Holocaust ever took place.
I know. You know, I think we take responsibility, I personally, to making sure that my grandchildren, that my children know at least what I know. And it's hard. I mean, there's documentation, there are photographs, there are
but those
historians.
are the people that believe, your
Yes.
grandkids, your kids. But what about the people that don't believe it? How do you turn the corner on these people?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I
It's hard,
I don't know. I know while I was researching to find out exactly the journey my grandmother made from her hometown and how she left, how she was forced out, how she watched and witnessed the death of her brother and father. Getting that on paper, it was written by a relative in Armenian. We had to have it translated. There were a lot of steps. It was a lot of work to read between the lines to figure out exactly what had happened. And then I made sure that all of my cousins got copies of it, that my mother saw, that everybody in our family received a copy of it. And I think we do it one person at a time. I think taking on, sharing the truth with the whole world. I mean, we start small, and Fresno has a huge nucleus of, 40 to 60,000 Armenians living here. And I think we can gather a lot of momentum and share these stories and spread them through the world.
Yeah, time to take a quick break. Open phone line if you want to call in on this program, 436 MeTV option 11. We have a special guest in the studio today. Her name is Armen Bacon. You know her from the Fresno Bee. Terrific article that she wrote just a couple of weeks ago. We'll talk about that and some other things. Call in and weigh in if you want. We're back in a moment.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to digital channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator. Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
back here on the program and encourage you to call in at 436-ME-TV, option 11, if you want to talk about the genocide or anything that's on your mind with Armen Bacon. She writes about all sorts of topics, of course, in the Fresno Bee. Hey, I do want to roll the videotape, and this one is called, I want to take you to Armenia, and I want to talk a little bit about this. It's called Welcome to Armenia. It's got no sound on it. We'll talk over and just look at the countryside. This is where Armenia is located, as we all know. It's beautiful mountain ranges there, of course, but as we all know, you know, the country of Armenia, Armen, is, it's a very poor country. I know you haven't been there. I haven't been there either. Is that on your bucket list?
It is at the top of my bucket list, John. It is absolutely at the top.
Look at how beautiful it is, just the countryside, and this one had about 6 to 8 million living around the world. Only about 3 million, though, in the country of Armenia. Very poor, as I said. Right now, about 3 million or so are there. Armenia became the first state in the world, by the way, to adopt Christianity. That was back in the 3rd century. So a lot of history, rich history in this country here that... It'd be a good idea to go see your homeland, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's something I would love to do with my husband, my daughter, and my grandchildren as a family trip.
Yeah, look at that.
Isn't
just
beautiful?
Some beautiful architecture. But the people of Armenia are very hard-working, of course. Many of them live very modest lives. They work hard on their farms, on their ranches. You know, they raise all sorts of animals, whether it be sheep or cattle or whatever the case may be, chickens. They're a hard-working class of people. They don't ask anything of anybody, do they?
No, and I think that we see that in the San Joaquin Valley. So many Armenians immigrated to California because they were farmers to grow crops, and the work ethic, the integrity, their values are unbelievable. And I think that that's something I learned from my parents, certainly, that you work hard and you reap the benefits of hard labor, of working hard, waking up every morning with goals, and living a good life. And but nothing is handed to you. That you work hard for what you want.
Yeah, you're right. They migrated here mainly because they knew how to work the land in Armenia.
Yes, correct.
And so they came here to work the land as well.
Yes.
So many years ago, decades ago, and that's probably one of the reasons why they came out here. And I've got to ask you about the Armenian Genocide Memorial out at Fresno State. Let's roll that. It's a Fresno State Memorial, and it's been there now for a couple of years. Dr. Joseph Castro is the president out there at Fresno State. He is one man who was instrumental. In fact, he was honored by the Armenian community just a few weeks back over at Pardini's for helping get this project up and running. What does it mean to you as an Armenian?
Oh, it means so much. The monument is absolutely stunning. Each pillar, there are 9 pillars. It's very symbolic in so many ways. And it's very fitting that it's on the Fresno State campus because I think there's so much...
Hang on, caller.
Because it's a place where we can go. It's a sacred place, but also a place where learning and education, and you ask that question, how do we tell the world? How do we convince the world? I think its presence on an institution of learning is really important, and an opportunity to tell the generations who maybe know nothing about the genocide of its importance. And the monument is just, it is absolutely gorgeous. And I echo your sentiments towards Dr. Castro. I think his leadership and vision was so instrumental in making that happen. And for many of us, we pay tribute to our grandparents and our lost family members by going to the cemetery. And I have found that on an afternoon when I'm missing my grandparents, I would rather go to Fresno State and sit near the monument and look at all that it represents. And it has become a sacred sanctuary location for me as well.
Yeah. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air with Armen Bacon.
Yes, I was just wondering, is there any kind of movement going on to try and get Armenia, recognized as its own government, to reclaim its land the way Israel did, the way they had to get in the 70s be recognized by Egypt and become their own sovereign country? Is there any kind of movement towards that? Because I'm sure that the Armenia, I don't believe they had its own government. So I mean, wouldn't they want to have their own country so they can govern themselves?
I don't have the answer to that question, but Barlo Dermagerdichan, who is the head of the Armenian Studies program at Fresno State, would probably be a fabulous guest to have on the show, or someone to contact for that information.
He was on this show
was he?
I think it was last week or the week before. I think Barlow was on here. The Armenia did. Is the caller still there?
Yes.
Okay, caller. Just so you know that modern-day Armenia became independent back in 1991. That's during the fall of the Soviet Union. So they kind of did reclaim their land after the fall of the Soviet Union. They're a proud people. They live modestly, but yeah, it was under Russian, Soviet control and Ottoman control for so many years, so many decades, hundreds of years. But they gained their modern-day independence back in 1991. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they're if they were still under, Yugoslavia had been part of had taken over part of Armenia, and some other countries had, they had conquered them way back when, and so they were kind of sort of like Egypt, sort of like the way the Basque are in Spain, they have their own province, you might say, their own area, but long ago the countries have conquered them since, and so they don't have their own country anymore.
Yeah, they lived during the 16th and 19th through the 19th century. They lived under the Ottoman Empire and Iranian rule as well. And then during the war, of course, during the Ottoman Empire, you know what happened with the genocide. But then they kind of reclaimed that. It took them a long time to reclaim their own independence back in 1991. So, yeah, good call. I appreciate the call. And have you been out to see the genocide monument at Fresno State, caller?
No, I have not. I didn't hear anything about it, so I will have to go out there and look at it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been up there, a couple of years now?
2 years, and it's located just north or just south of the new Satellite Union. So it's really spectacular, a beautiful, beautiful. In fact, there's going to be a ceremony this coming Monday night at 6 p.m. So I would encourage you to think about attending then, because they will be recognizing the genocide, and there will be a special ceremony. So that might be a perfect time to see it for the first time.
Yeah.
And my other question, has the United States yet to recognize the genocide, the Armenian genocide? Have they yet to recognize it as such?
No, not yet. Maybe someday in our lifetime.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, caller. Time to go to a quick break. We're at the bottom of the hour. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Thanks for calling in, and back in just a moment. A lot more to talk about.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come into Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm Joseph Castro, president of Fresno State. Here on campus and around the Central Valley, we take great pride in Bulldog Red. We also take pride in our diversity and our academic and athletic achievements. On Wednesday, May 10th, it will be my pleasure to join John Mallos on Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno for a 1-hour interview to talk about all the great things happening at Fresno State. See you then.
Back here with Armen Bacon. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, let me direct a question to Armen. I noticed some time ago that I saw a lot of Armenians, and what I loved about them was that there's peace in them. They're hard workers, and I wish people would understand that, we can work together as one individual as far as one race and whatnot, even though there's a lot of races in the United States, but they are hard workers like everybody else, but they're united as far as a group. They help each other, and I wish that people would understand that if we would do the same thing, there'd be more togetherness in the United States, in the world, really. And looking at her, I could see there's just a peace in her that, she wants Armenian people, people to know that, what they have is like everybody else. They work hard for it. and I commend you and Armenian people because nothing is free in this world, and we all have to work to survive, and those of us that need help, we get help. But I commend you, being an Armenian. Of course, I'm an Hispanic, so thank you for sharing a lot of parts of Armenia. Thank you.
Thank you. What a beautiful comment. And, I will say that because I think as a culture, as a group, we have endured, we have survived and suffered. There is a resiliency, a sense of strong family that we share. And I think growing up, I grew up next door with Hispanics, Japanese Americans, Asians, and I think we do in this valley, there is especially a strong sense of family. It's not just the Armenians. I mean, I'm very proud to be an Armenian, but I feel that in many of the ethnic groups that we do embrace each other, and we work together to make sure our children have good lives and that our community is strong.
Yeah. Hey, one more topic here, or one more videotape talking about the topic of the Armenian genocide, but not really the genocide. It's the history of the Armenian people. I'm going to roll it with the sound. You can hear it. It's just a little synopsis of what's going on with the Armenians.
And less than half live in the Republic of Armenia, a small country south of Georgia and north of Iran. The rest live around the world in countries such as the US, Russia, France, Lebanon, and Syria. They're an ancient people who originally came from Anatolia some 2,500 years ago. The king of Armenia was the first ruler to adopt Christianity as the official state religion in the year 301, even before the Roman Empire. The Armenians have their own alphabet and distinct language, and over the centuries developed a rich cultural and intellectual tradition. In the 15th century, their homeland was absorbed into the Islamic Ottoman Empire, an empire that at its peak stretched from the Caspian Sea to the gates of Vienna.
All right, so a little bit of a history lesson there, a very short one at that. Caller, you're on the air with Armen Bacon. Go ahead.
Good morning, Armen. I'm glad you're on. I mean, put you on the spot a little bit here. This is a personal thing. You don't have to answer this, but the question is, are you expecting them to omit what you or what they had done? And when they do that, are you expecting a forgiveness from them? And that's what my question for this morning.
I think, like so many Armenians, we yearn for just the acknowledgement that the genocide happened, that the systematic extermination of 1.5 million Armenians took place.
To finally
admit it, to acknowledge it, for it to be recognized. And I mean, there are a lot of hearts that ache because that has not happened. And forgiveness, I think many of us, we have moved on. I mean, I have visited Turkey. I have friends of all nationalities, and we live in the present day. But I think for our parents, for our families, for our culture, it would be something that would be very important to have acknowledged.
And would you be able to forgive?
By our government. Maybe forgive, but never forget, ever.
Yeah.
And again, today's whether it's Turkish young people, they're much like me. We did not live through that time, and so we live our lives, many of us embracing each other. And so, but I think it's an important step, and I think it would be a wonderful acknowledgement to happen before this generation, many of who are survivors, before they pass, for it to occur.
Yeah. Hey, I want to talk a little bit, too, about your writings. You often write about the genocide, don't you?
Yes. Well, I write personally, I write about my grandma. She was the only survivor. My other grandparents all perished before I was born.
Right.
And so my grandmother on my father's side immigrated from Armenia came to Ellis Island, lived in Boston, and then came to Fresno. And she was my very special grandma. And so I've written a lot about her. And in fact, I wrote some more about her that will be in this week's Fresno Bee column.
Okay. Hey, I want to point to an article that you wrote on April, I believe, the 2nd, right here on the Insight part of the Fresno Bee. And the headline says, "How Growing Up in Fresno Helped Me Navigate the World." And I do want to roll the videotape because I want to take you to another part of the world, because the Eiffel Tower is here. We pulled some videotape of the Eiffel Tower. So let's roll the Eiffel Tower. And you say in your article right here, it's a beautiful site, by the way, you say in your article, I'm quoting from your column, it says, "It dawned on me that growing up in Fresno prepared me well for navigating life's journey wherever it was destined to take me." Meaning what?
Well, when I was in college, I got restless. I spoke fluent French, and I decided to spend my last year of college as an exchange student in the south of France. So I did go to Paris, and I did live in France for over a year. And later on in my life, in my career, I had opportunities to visit North Africa, Western Europe. I've been to many life journeys. And really, it was growing up in this San Joaquin Valley that really gave me courage, that helped me embrace the journey, the twists and turns of life's journey.
How did Fresno help you do that?
Oh my gosh! Well, growing up here, Fresno was my safe haven, and I had a mother who encouraged us always to talk to strangers. So I learned a lot about life, about other people, about different cultures, by just being part of this fabric of this beautiful community. And I don't think sometimes when you live in a large city like Los Angeles, those opportunities are not as easily available to you.
And the Eiffel Tower source, of course, is a beautiful site. It's the landmark of Paris and France and everything else. Everybody identifies it with such great things, romance and everything else about the country of France. And so you spent a year there, and you do speak French. What do you think of the Eiffel Tower?
Oh, I think it's exquisite, but it's really the people. And I was blessed to live in the south of France. I spent a lot of time in Paris, but I moved to Aix-en-Provence, which is very close to Marseille, where there's a huge population of Armenians. And so
in Marseille?
In Marseille.
A lot of Armenians there.
Yes. And so every Sunday, I would take the bus to Marseille, and I had an Armenian family that more or less adopted me while I was there. And, there are no strangers. All the dots connect, and I met family there, friends who were related to people in Fresno, and spent a lot of my time there.
You also say in the article that if you talk long enough, you find a connection, forge bonds, discover likenesses, outweighing differences. I'm assuming you're talking about when you do travel and you venture outside of Fresno or the San Joaquin Valley or Fresno County or whatever, the Central Valley, that you make these other connections with other groups of people.
Yes.
Whether they are Armenian or not.
No.
Am I right about that?
You're absolutely.
So if you connect with somebody, you're going to find more things that you have in common than you do differences?
I believe so. I mean, that has been the case for me no matter where I've traveled in the world. And language is not really a barrier. I mean, Armenians talk with their hands. We communicate with our eyes. We express our passion, and I find that all over the world. And so I have never let language be really a barrier. And again, I learned that lesson at home. Our neighbors didn't always speak English, and I grew up as a young child. I spoke more Armenian than I did English, and so I think we're all human. And my grandmother used to say, "People are people," and I think that's so true. I think the human condition, we all have our hearts and our hurts, and if we spend enough time together, I think we find those common bonds.
In all the travels, and I know you haven't, the bucket list is Armenia. For me, I did go to Greece many years ago and went to my homeland, but I wasn't born there, of course, but I found out where my ancestors came from, and it was quite an experience, emotional, no doubt. But do you find in all of your travels, not only in Fresno, but outside of Fresno, no matter what country you've been to, do you find that most people have a sense of humor?
They have a sense of humor. They have a huge heart. They want to be helpers. They want to be guides. Yes, I think people are basically good. And I know right now we're living in an era where people are afraid. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of distance and people at arm's length. And my experience in my travels is that people are generally very good and big-hearted and welcoming. And I know when I meet a foreigner in Fresno, they're invited to my house for dinner. And the same has been true almost in every country I've traveled.
So most of the people that you met overseas from different countries, what are their interests? Are they the same as ours?
They're very curious about California and the United States. They want to know about how our lives are. So, they sometimes see us as more glamorous. I mean, they associate California with Hollywood, and so that's their first. That's usually an entree. They want to know about Arnold Schwarzenegger, some of the celebrities,
Donald Trump.
But then if you talk long enough, you get to the family discussions, and they want to know how we live and about our education system.
I do want to encourage you that when you do go to Armenia, you have to go to this marketplace where Conan O'Brien went. I got to roll this piece of videotape because you talk about a sense of humor. I want to roll a videotape called Conan Visits the Marketplace in the country of Armenia. He went to Armenia with his camera crew and actually aired this on his program. Conan O'Brien, he's on cable TV now, no longer on regular broadcast television. He's still a funny man. You have to watch this, and I guarantee you're going to laugh. You've got to go to this marketplace when you go to Armenia. Roll the videotape and play the sound.
Armed with 4 of the creepiest phrases ever, I booked a flight to take us to Armenia. Inch pesek. Lavem. Parev. Jigurut. Udem. Jigeret udem. Jigeret udem. Look, this guy's got it. Jigeret udem.
He says I'll eat your jiget too.
You'll, yeah. Hey, that's a deal. I'll eat your liver, you eat mine. Oh! This is the marketplace in Yerevan. Jigurut udem. Mernem janid. Mernem janid. Mernem janid. What is this?
It looks like a little bundle of some sort of twig.
I'm glad you're here to help. Okay, tell him we wish to buy dried apricots for your family back home.
Imandani samar.
You know, you're not really minding the store. You can't just let people like me do whatever they want. Back for business. So all we're getting is the apricots. Do you know any Armenian men who are looking for a beautiful bride?
She goes.
They're everywhere. Look, they're all over the place. Look, they take off the minute there's a commitment. This, I know. This is my food. This is the food of my people. The potato. Potato! 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 Yes! What is Viagra? Armenian Viagra? Yeah. Oh my God, he's right. I'm feeling things I haven't felt in years. I will become more. Yes. He says it's like Viagra. Oh my God, look at that. You, a local creep, huh? Thank you very much. Hey, in an hour I won't be able to hug you. Because of the erection.
You have to admit that's pretty funny.
It's very funny, and I understand Armenian, so I heard some of the other comments that were being made, including the fix-up with all those men who were watching to that. I think that was his associate producer, somebody who's Armenian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
man,
Very
that was
funny.
Hey, let's take a break here. We'll come back with more of our show here. Connect with me with Armen Bacon. 436-ME-TV, option 11 if you want to call in and weigh in on our program today.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
This is Tough TV, Tough Sports, Tough Lifestyle, Tough Drama, Tough Reality, Tough Talk, Tough Specials, Tough Movies, Tough TV.
Now on KVHF 4.2.
Are you tough enough?
Okay, a couple of email questions here. People watching the program. Is Donald Trump, does he have enough what it takes as an outsider to make that giant leap and just demand that Turkey finally admit their wrongs?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
I don't have that answer.
You don't have any thoughts on it? Okay. Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know.
All right, let me see. Is now the time when the... Oh, that's another political question. So let me try another one. Oh, this is a pretty good one. It's from a viewer. It says, does your guest feel that survivors and families should receive any kind of reparations, kind of like the Japanese reparations, if Turkey does admit?
Oh, you know, I don't think that people are looking for money for reparations. I think they need
admission. Huh?
They need the admission. They need peace of mind, peace of heart, and so I would guess the answer to that, you know, would be no.
Yeah.
But I don't. But I'm not sure about that. But I think mostly people want it to be recognized, and I think that's the efforts that are most important.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about your writings, and you have written 3 books, and the first one is right here. It's called Griefland. You've been on this program. We've talked about this before. The other book came out later. It says My Name is Armen, Volume 1. My Name is Armen, Volume 2. That's the latest book right here. So you've been through a lot of grief in your life because of your son, right?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes, I lost my son Alex when he was 22.
Right. I think we have a picture of Alex. Let's put that up on the screen right now. As you look at him and you wake up today, or maybe you saw it last night on the news, the grief that some of the families are feeling in Fresno right now after that horrific shooting. I don't know how someone gets past something like that. I don't want to find out.
No.
The horrible pain and the horrible grief that someone goes through in a situation like this.
Well,
what kind of inspiration can you offer, if any?
You know, the grief process is not something you get over. I think it stays with you forever. It changes you on a cellular level. It certainly has for me. And one thing I learned in writing my book, and one of the reasons I wrote Griefland, I co-authored Griefland, was because I had watched my grandmother live in silence and never talk about her sorrow and her grief. And when Alex died, it was a very conscious decision to use words as oxygen, as my oxygen, to help me navigate this journey that was so unlike anything I had ever experienced in my life. And so the message I would send, and something I hear a lot from readers, is that we have to remind ourselves to reach out to those who are suffering. And it doesn't mean you have answers, but you go, you sit with them, you deliver food, you wrap your arms around them, because there at times like these, when families are in crisis and they're suffering grief, there are no answers. There are no magic answers that is going to make them all of a sudden feel okay. Grief stays inside you forever. It changes you, but moving forward at some point is probably the best way to honor our lost loved ones.
Yeah.
And that's something, a very conscious decision I've made. And of course, writing about my grief and my sorrow keeps Alex in the present tense, if you will.
Yeah, and you wrote in your column just a couple of weeks ago, very poignant observation on your part, and it says, you wrote this, and I quote, "As years passed, I came to realize that none of us would get through life unscathed, exempt of troubled times or turbulence." It's so true. As you get older, you start to realize that, hey, I've been through a lot of bumps, ups and downs. I have a lot of scrapes, a lot of bruises, but what's the but? What comes after the but?
But I think, and again, part of this has to do with feeling rooted in my Armenian culture, in my heritage, and rooted in the San Joaquin Valley. We find our people. We are a tribe that we can depend on, and we lean on each other during times of hardship and trouble. And we have to know how to ask for help and give ourselves permission to be human and not carry it all inside at all times. The other beautiful thing I think about living in Fresno is that the more people we know, and in Fresno, because we are a big, small city, we know lots of people, and the more people you know, the more extensions you have, the more connections you have with others, the greater your capacity for hurt and heartache, because we're living in this era of loss. So many of us are losing friends, we're losing colleagues, we're losing family members, and if you're isolated and you only have 3 people in your world, then you're probably not going to have that much hurt. But people like us who are gregarious and we love our community and we are active in our community, we have the capacity for greater hurt.
And what about those who want to write, whether it be a column, whether it be a book? Do you encourage them? You don't even have to write a book.
No.
Just go to your computer and start writing.
Or go to the 99-cent store and buy a tablet. I mean, I have paper in every room of my house.
What do you encourage people to write about, and how do they write?
You know, it's been said that our most uncensored thoughts show up very, very late at night or very early in the morning when we first wake up, because then all the filters are off. And so my encouragement is to start writing, write for 10 or 15 minutes the first thing you wake up in the morning or late at night, and write about anything write about anything you want. I just finished
anything that's going on in your life.
In your life, maybe. Yes, or something that that's nagging at you that won't go away. Write about that and do stream of consciousness writing. Just let the pen flow, or just let the cursor go, and don't edit your remarks. Just write and see where it goes.
Yeah, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
First of all, I agree. You meet other people of other ethnicities, I guess, and other religious values, and they usually are very, very open.
it's not usual that you will have a negative. I agree. And the other thing I wanted to share with your, I'm sorry, I don't recall her name.
It's Armen Bacon. Armen Bacon.
Just know that eternity will make up for the problems of this small time.
Mm-hmm. That's
Thank
one
you.
way, a good way of looking at it, actually.
Yes.
If you're a believer.
Yes.
God bless.
Right. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it very much. And so when you do write, are you saying that people should write because it's therapeutic?
Well, I think that we all have things inside of us that are burning to come out. And those are the things that I think are important to write about, even if you don't share them with anybody, but just to get them on paper, to have a chance to reflect and look at them. And many of us have stories we want to make sure that we pass along to our children and grandchildren. And those stories need to be written down because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so I encourage parents and grandparents to write the stories that matter so that your children and grandchildren will know about your roots, where you came from, and how you feel, and what your personal life journey was like.
Yeah, interesting. Hey, I got another email question I want to ask you about, and that is, and I have no idea what the answer is to this, why do some of the Armenians use IAN at the end of their names and some YAN?
I don't know.
Just a thing, right? It's just a thing.
Well, I believe a lot of it was from, I think some of the Russian Armenians, it depended on where they came from.
What part of the world they came from.
What part of the world they came from had different, and many changed their names. I'm married to a full-blooded Armenian, and his family changed their name at Ellis Island for the sake of simplicity. They changed it from Bukalian to Bacon. And so, and my maiden name was Der Hartunian, and they shortened it at Ellis Island and turned it into Darien. So a lot of Armenian names have been changed along the way.
Right.
As well.
But the majority are IAN.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the majority. Now, where can they get these books? You've got Griefland, you've got My Name is Armen, and you got My Name is Armen Volume Number 2. Let me hold all three of these books up. Where can you get these, on Amazon?
My books are all available on Amazon, but they're also available at Barnes & Noble.
Oh, they are? Okay.
The My Name is Armen volumes are available through the press at California State University, Fresno, and also at Barnes & Noble, at Petunia's Place, all local bookstores.
Are you teaching a writing class at Fresno State?
Well, I just finished a 4-week writing class that was absolutely just delightful. It was called Our Stories Matter, and it was about everything we're talking about today. It was about the importance of sharing our stories and getting them down on paper, whether you're doing it for genealogy purposes or doing it because you have a dream to be an author someday.
Okay, in 30 seconds here, we got about 30 seconds left. What would be the number one rule in teaching somebody how to write? What's the one thing they need to keep in mind over anything else?
First, to write your thoughts uncensored. Don't edit as you go along. Write a crappy first draft. Get all your thoughts down. Don't censor yourself. Let everything free flow. And then the art of revision. Print it out, reread it over and over again.
All right, I'm going to take this quick call. 10 seconds. Caller, you have 10 seconds, and then we got to go. What's your question? Quickly, 10 seconds.
Actually, I was just making a comment regarding people asking about if Armenians are seeking compensation. Yes, we are. And yes, we do have an organization called Tashnak that we're fighting for the cause of Armenians. And we're not letting it go.
I got to go or we're going to get cut off. I apologize.
Well, then I was wrong on that one. So yes, they are.
That's you're never wrong. Don't say that.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me as a guest.
All right, Armen Bacon, thank you. Come back again, would you please?
I will. It's a deal.
All right. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Armen Bacon, a writer, an author, my friends. You can get all three of these books at Amazon or Barnes & Noble at Fresno State. Back tomorrow with another guest here on Connect with Me. Have a great day.
I'm Joseph Castro, president of Fresno State. Here on campus and around the Central Valley, we take great pride in Bulldog Red. We also take pride in our diversity and our academic and athletic achievements. On Wednesday, May 10th, it will be my pleasure to join John Mallos on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno for a 1-hour interview to talk about all the great things happening at Fresno State. See you then.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest